Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to our couch conversations. Gamalam, my name is Zuluzipo, and today I just want us to talk about your first year of articles. When you're starting out, you've just come out from varsity, most of the time CTA, but some of the times from third year, and you are about to dive into this completely new life, the professional space. You might have had some back work experience now and then, but you'd find that for a whole lot of us, we haven't even done that before. So let's chat about that quickly. Firstly, let's just talk about what your role is. So, dear first year, this is your role as a new, young professional that is tapping into that space for the first time, and this is basically the foundation of the rest of your career. You are definitely there to build your brand. That first thought, that first impression that comes to mind when someone else basically looks at you, they must immediately have a very positive feeling, thought. It must say, I've got value to derive from this person. It should say, I look forward to hearing from them and what it is they have to say. Let me just share a bit about me quickly for like 15 seconds. I'm a very find the value that comes from the person apart from what you see on the outside. Now, the reality of the world that we live in is that the minute you open this video and you see me, before I say anything, you've already made some form of judgment based on how I look, based on how I've presented myself, and that's how it is everywhere, including the professional space. So in terms of how you dress, how you address people, that plays a very vital role in terms of how people perceive you and what your brand is. I know there's been a lot of talk lately on social media, more so Twitter, on brand alignment. That's exactly what it is. Again, that comes in how you put yourself together, how you address the people around you, and very equally, I'll say important as well, how you let other people address you, because you let them address you how they do the first time, and when you're happy with that, you obviously let it go and you let it continue. But if it's not what you prefer and you still have it carry on, they obviously leave you thinking, well, I can carry on with this approach, which you should address as politely and as professionally as you can, but it should still be addressed. I hope you remember this as well, though. As important as first impressions are, and how you present yourself and how that's the first thing people see when they look at you, personalities and how consistent that is over time also counts for a lot. So do not be thrown away by that first impression that wasn't so great, or that outfit, or those nails, or that hair, or that shoe that day when you were meeting your partner for the first time, or for whatever reason you may have needed to be presentable. Remember, that's important, and if that doesn't go as well as planned, keep a sustainable personality. Keep a lovely personality, your character constantly. Watch out for that. Build that. Build your character. Build your personality, because that also goes a long way. Now let's come to the actual work that is being performed in the audit team. You are there to support the team, not in a bad, no, you're not important way, no, but you are literally there to everything that needs documentation, from an invoice to the work paper, or from a statement to a work paper, confirmation to work paper, everything that is mostly routine documentation within the file. You are primarily there to do that. And I cannot stress how important it is that in that first 6 months, most critically, that can extend to 8 to 9 months, but this first 6 months of your articles is so critical for you to be asking questions as often as you can. Ask the whys, ask the hows, ask the whens. Ask them from your team members, ask them from your management and from the client itself. Your first point of call, as far as you can, make it your team members if it's information related to understanding the client itself, because that's normally work that's done in the prior years. But in addition to that, ask the client as well. And I cannot stress enough, ask, 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 ask. From the perspective of someone who's been a senior, who's been a second year, at times, because then it takes away from how much we have to document our own work, it may chip away from it. You may get a bit of, I won't say an attitude, but a response to you continuously asking questions, but it definitely doesn't take away from the need for you to do that. Okay, and then another thing, in an ideal audit planning space, there is going to be continuity in your audit clients. That means whatever audit clients you have been planned on in first year, chances are you will be on in second and in your third year until you finish. So what that needs from you as a first year is to get a very good understanding of what your client does, get the basics intact. So you may be asking yourself, what are the basics? What are these basics for me to know as a first year in an audit file? What do they do? What industry are they in? What are their normal expenses on a month-to-month basis? How many customers do they have? Do they have many or a few customers? Do they have many or a few suppliers? Get an understanding of, even if you're not doing that section, of their inventory systems, if they have inventory in place, and what type of capital assets are they? Because that's mostly the technical, I'll say basic technical related work that you can add value on. Because then next year, there is going to be a whole lot more in your plate. And in terms of how you navigate through your work and the actual audit file itself, part of that will hinge on how well you understand the client. So the basics or the foundations that you will attain in your first year also become so important. The most critical thing, though, which you will have to implement going forward, regardless of the year you're in, is being able to add value to your team. You must never feel like you are or an auxiliary object within your team, and they must never feel the same about you. Everyone must be pitching in terms of value adding work to the team. And then there's other concerns that we have, or you may think of in terms of your life outside of work. Some of us may be moving from one city to another just to do articles. Some of us may be moving from home to live by ourselves, still in the same city. And in those similar arrangements, we may have a whole lot of questions that we ask ourselves, just like where you should look for a place and when you should look for a place. So the most ideal time, because straight after finishing your varsity studies, you want to take a break, you're so tired, and most likely you want to prepare for your ITC. So within that break period, before you dive back into your books again, would be a great time for you to go in to the internet and go to your Property 24s, your private property. Stay away from any unofficial property searching method outside of trusted friends, family, and the official property websites, where you can go and have a look and just see what's available. Call the agents, find out what they need just to set yourself up. Question number 2, do you need a car? Need, again, is very subjective. A car is very ideal because you don't work in the same place. Your one client could be in Germiston and your other client could be in Sandton, where you live in Randburg or you live in Bryanston. So that will need you to have a very flexible method of commuting between these places. I would actually advise that if you're watching this and you're still in varsity, maybe doing your third year in preparation for articles or your CTA already, work on getting your license so that it's much easier to get your car by the time you are well into the job. In terms of whether you should share or live alone, that's completely your preference. Take into account your budget, take into account how you like your house set up, and whether you can find someone that can fit into the setup that you want for your place. And quickly on the basics that you're gonna need, definitely your sleepwear, cookware, your fridges, your microwaves, at least 10 days worth of outfits for work, and cleaning stuff for the house, and you should be good. So yes, I made an attempt to have this video as condensed as it can be. Thank you very much for joining us. Let me know if you've got further questions. Again, we can engage down in the comments below. Or if you've got other questions that I can't myself answer, again, I'll ask colleagues, I'll ask friends, I'll ask managers, partners, people from work. And definitely like the page, subscribe to the channel. Thank you again for joining us in our couch conversations. See you on the next one.